Extracting hard-to-reach reserves of oil and gas by fracturing rocks underground. In Western Australia, it's the subject of a parliamentary inquiry. In Victoria, it's banned until 2015. And in New South Wales and Queensland, it's causing bitter disputes involving landholders, environmentalists, government and big business. In the UK, the debate and the exploration is only just beginning, but it's already sparking ugly confrontations. And as Europe correspondent Barbara Miller reports, Australians are at the forefront of both sides of the UK's fracking fight.
Up and down the UK, the anti-fracking movement is taking hold. From Tory heartlands in the south to working-class districts in the north, activists are moving in with their tents, slogans and tricks to hinder exploration for shale gas.
Can you move the protesters 10 to 15 metres in that direction?
The ploy today is lock-on. Two protesters attach themselves to one another, blocking access to the exploration site.
It's taken 2.5 hours to clear the two protesters who were blocking the road, and the convoy of trucks is now making its way slowly along to the exploration site here. This kind of confrontation is a regular occurrence here. The protesters know they can't stop exploration taking place, but they can delay it.
Among the sworn enemies of the anti-fracking movement, the company Quadrilla, in which the Sydney-based AJ Lucas Group holds a more than 40% stake.
How does this Australian company end up being the key player at the moment in the UK shale gas industry?
It fell out of the sky. It was I'd like to say it was part of a business plan, but it was an opportunity that fell upon us because of some individuals that we'd been working with in Australia who said that they had some ideas in the UK and had some good reasons to look for gas in the UK.
The UK Greens leader, also an Australian, is worried.
At the moment, a lot of this exploration is being carried out by very small companies. And the government says they're going to have very tight regulation and, the companies will be responsible for cleaning up any problems. But of course, if you have small companies doing that and they go broke, then the responsibility falls back on the government.
The French company Total recently announced it was investing in shale gas exploration in the UK, the first of the majors to show interest. And the UK's energy minister says he's not worried by the current dominance of small players.
There are a dozen small companies joining in the search for shale. I think that's the nature of the industry. You get more entrepreneurial, risk-taking people involved in this, and I think that characterises oil and gas exploration onshore and offshore the world over. But what's encouraging, I think, already is this growing interest being shown by the larger companies.
Government-commissioned research suggests more than half of the UK could be suitable for shale fracking, and the message is it's coming to a place near you, whether you like it or not.
Shale is important for our country. It could bring 74,000 jobs, over £3 billion of investment, give us cheaper energy for the future and increase our energy security.
Fracking for shale gas involves drilling deep into the rock and then pumping in a mixture of water, sand and chemicals to fracture it and release the gas.
Dangerous, dirty, unethical and completely wrong.
Why are you so convinced that it's dangerous, dirty and unethical?
I'm convinced because of what's happened in other countries, the dangers towards fracking. The fact that they won't disclose the chemicals that are used in the fracking process is a massive warning bell.
Frack free Sussex!
The mining companies and the government are trying their best to convince the doubters.
Fracking for shale gas is as safe as you engineer it to be. If you don't engineer it correctly, there is a potential to damage the aquifers, but very unlikely with shale gas because it's extremely deep.
We have a robust system of regulation in place, and fracturing itself will only be allowed if the method of fracturing is approved, if it's safe for those who are doing it, and if it's safe for the local community, and if it doesn't damage the environment.
Can shale realistically bring the price of energy down here?
Well, we don't know the answer to that yet. It certainly could. The potential is there, provided it can be extracted reasonably cost-effectively.
Natalie Bennett thinks the British government is spouting a lot of hot air.
British attitude towards fracking is that it's some kind of fairy dust. This magic thing will spring up and solve all of their problems. And that pretty well sums up the whole Tory attitude to this. They don't know much about it, they haven't got the facts straight, but they just keep promoting it anyway.
The hard core of the anti-fracking movement is spending the winter at Barton Moss near Manchester. The shale rock deep under this land could hold significant deposits of gas, and an exploration well is being drilled. Dave Barber is a foster carer from a nearby town. He's unimpressed by the financial incentives on offer to communities like his, who allow fracking to go on in their backyards.
Open bribes rather than incentives. I think they've squeezed all the local authorities so tightly that they've not got much option but to take what they're being offered now.
Isn't it, though, a better energy source than oil, for example?
It possibly is, but it's the way that they're going about getting it and the speed that it's just been forced upon us. Too fast for any debates and people to know what's going on.
Local retirees Brenda and John Leather have also begun to visit this camp.
Very genuine, very brave people, you know, I mean, you'll get some factions that say, how can they live like this? Well, I think, well, bloody hell, I couldn't live like this. Sorry, shouldn't be so. But that's how dedicated they are, that they're prepared to give up material comforts, you know.
Are you reassured by the government saying, we're going to really make sure this is properly regulated, we won't do it unless it's safe?
I just don't believe anything the government's ever told me in all my life. I'm 74, nearly 75, and they've conned me all my life.
John and Brenda might not look like typical activists, but they've started to take part in the regular slow walks in front of trucks heading for the exploration site.
They're in it for the profit. It's going to make a few people very rich, and it's going to make us as a local community potentially very ill.
The delays are a cost the fracking industry is increasingly having to factor in. Because if the bleak British winter doesn't deter these protesters, not much will.
Barbara Miller reporting.